Hi, it's Mike. Welcome to the Bonsai channel. Today I'm going to wire the juniper that we potted last time. So before we get started, I wanted to explain something to you about inspiration. I was in art school in the 80s and they taught me a word I've never heard of before, and it was called rotoscoping, which is a form of copying. It's almost like tracing. But that's how many artists get their inspiration. Now, I've heard a lot of bonsai enthusiasts tell me that, they don't look at other work because it's copying and each tree needs to be unique and individual. Well, each tree will be unique and individual, but we have styles that we go by, and each of these styles specify what a bonsai is, whether it's upright or slanted or cascade. Well, I'm going to do a semi-cascade today, but it's important to know that we can get our inspiration from just about anywhere, whether it's out in nature or like in the guidebook for the Conversations with a Master series. We put pictures in here. And these pictures are for you to use as inspiration when you are styling your own trees. What I did was, when I saw this tree from that angle, it reminded me of a picture I saw on the cover of the Bonsai Specialist. And I realized I can make this tree look a lot like this tree. So I have a whole assortment of wire here, from 1 millimeter, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now if you look at the instructions or the product description, it shows that, for small branches we have the 1 to 1.5, for branches 2 to 2.5, and 3 and up for the trunk. Now this trunk is pretty sizable. You can see it there. So I'm going to go with the 4. I'm going to start with the 4. Alright, so I have a length of wire here, and the first thing I want to do is I want to secure the wire into the soil. So I'm going to shove the wire down into the soil and then start wrapping it around the branch. And I'm going to start with this lower branch here. Actually, I'm going to start with the upper branch. So just move the moss away a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm securing this wire against that branch while I bend the rest in. And it takes some manhandling. So you can see the wire, how it's come around this part of the branch. And I'm trying to avoid little nodules. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but that one back there. Because right now I don't want to take out any options that I may want later. So I'm going to continue to wrap the wire around here by first, looking where I'm going, and then moving the wire in that direction. Because the juniper is so tight and dense, it's hard to get in to all the places, but as you get the wire on, you can start to move it and shape it like you want it. And that helps U to access the rest of the branch. Alright, I have it wired. So now it's just a task of bending this out slowly into the desired shape. Let's do this for now so that I can see that the bottom branch, and I can go ahead and wire that bottom branch. Alright, so I used the 4 gauge wire on, or 4mm wire on this upper branch. I'm going to use the 3 on the lower, and the reason why is because this branch is pretty much in the position I want it, whereas the upper branch I really needed to make a change to. So I'm going to get a length of the 3mm now, which is you know, about the length of the branch. Alright, so I have a piece of wire the length of the branch plus a little more to go down into the soil. So what I'm going to do here is, it seems like the best place to anchor it is right here. But the roots don't want to cooperate there. So I have to change plans. There we go. So the trick to wiring seems to be just allowing yourself to do what's necessary to get the wire on the branch. And also, isn't it obvious now why we wired the plant in the pot? Now what happens with junipers like this is that there's a lot of growth in there, which makes it hard to wire. So this is the late fall, which isn't really the best time to be wiring, although I wanted to show you how it was done. But I either have to bring the wire up into this little gap, or I need to clean out some of this. But as this isn't the time to be cleaning it out, I'm going to bring the wire up into this gap. The main thing is, I don't want to put the wire over top of any nodes or growth or needles, because that could invite disease. So I want to make sure I don't do that. So you can see, I got the wire in these little saddles, and I'm weaving it through these little areas where there's no growth. Finding them is hard on our juniper, but they're there. So I have this whole branch wired now, and I'm going to start changing the shape. What I'm doing is, in this direction I'm making an S, or a slight curve this way and there. Alright, let's compare what I have now with the example. Alright, so in the example, in the inspiration, the upper branch goes kind of vertical-ish. The lower branch is similar to what I have. So what I need to do is apply what I see here to what I have there without overstressing the plant. So I think the bottom branch is pretty good. Let's work on the upper branch now. You can see we have two branches that kind of both are going like that in the same direction. So how can we get this branch to come up? We can do a spiral, which is what it really kind of wants to do. Spiral back on itself. What would happen if it came up this way? So if in 10 years we had it coming from over here down this way, right, so that it had a mass up here and it moved down just like the example. Now, do we make that mass by spiraling this or just bending it back on itself? I think at this moment, this, if you take that out, that's about as close as I'm going to get. The goal now is to let this grow this way and fill in here, which will happen over the, next spring. But I'll make one of these, maybe this one, the new branch as it continues out, because this was cut. But that's really it. And that's what I have right now. Now I could thin some of this, but it's not really time to thin it. What with it being winter. So let's go over real fast again what I did. The first thing I did was I looked for inspiration. I found an image which was similar to the style that I wanted and similar to the tree that I had that I could use to pattern my design on. Then after I had my inspiration, I wired the tree, the branches that I wanted to make the most change with. Now what this allows me to do is to let that tree heal so that next spring I can then take out these, thin it a little bit and start moving some of these other branches in the direction that I want them to go. But what that means is that, as you can see, the tree isn't beautiful at this point in time, but that's the beauty of bonsai, because it's a slow process which evolves, and this tree will evolve over time. And as we keep making small incremental changes, we make the tree better and better and better. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please post in the comments section and I'll happily answer them. We'll see you very soon.